Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for today, Wednesday, October 30th, 2019.
Good morning, President James. Commissioners Villegas, James, and Caloza are present, and we have a quorum. May we please start with Bureau introductions, beginning with Street Services.
Good morning, Pamela Ostrander, Bureau of Street Services.
Good morning, Ruben Flamenco, Bureau of Street Lighting.
Good morning, Ron Lee, Bureau of Sanitation.
Good morning, Mike Cirillo, Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning, Linda McGlinchey, Bureau of Contract Administration.
Good morning, Ted Jordan, Public Works General Counsel.
TJ Knight, Assistant Executive Officer. We have speaker cards under items 1. We have no public comment and no neighborhood council commentary.
Okay, thank you. Then we'll close general public comment as well as the neighborhood council category of commentary. Agenda item number 3 is a stop payment notice. Western Pump Incorporated is transmitting a stop payment notice in the amount of $77,544.90 for furnishing materials and labor consisting of petroleum and lubrication services in connection with the asphalt plant number 1, recycling plant number 1, replacement and modernization project. The primary contractor is Papich Construction Company Incorporated. Is there a second to my motion that we receive agenda item number 3 forthwith? By Commissioner Caloza. Any objection? Without objection, we will do so. Agenda item number 4, stop payment notice, Walters Wholesale Electric Company number 22. Okay. Mr. Sachs, did these just... All right, we'll do general public comment later. All right, thank you. But I didn't have the card in for number 3, and that voting item is gone. Do you want to speak on number 3 as well? Okay, we'll come back on number 3 then. I said we'll come back on number 3. All right. Commissioner Caloza, let's go ahead and start this morning. We'll give Commissioner Caloza a moment to make her way to the podium for our presentation for Filipino American History Month, and some of us will be joining Commissioner Caloza along the way. And Commissioner Caloza, we'll thank you for your leadership in setting this up. And this is our second time, I think, to follow this process.
Yes.
That worked well in June, I think. Yeah. Or was it
in May?
Oh, in May for Latino Heritage Month. Yeah, yes. Latino History Month. Go ahead, ma'am.
Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning, colleagues, city family, commissioners, all the 200 plus people in this room. I think this is the most packed I've seen this hearing room, which is really heartwarming. I feel weird addressing everyone facing this way, so I'm going to do an awkward side stand, okay? But happy Filipino American History Month, everyone. Thank you all for being here. It really means a lot. For those of you who are familiar with October, it's pretty much one Filipino party after another, and today is no different. It has been a month filled with celebration, a lot of reflection, and also a lot of thanks to those who contribute in making our city so great. And just a few statistics to share for those who don't often celebrate Filipino American History Month with us, but there are 4 million Filipino Americans nationally. And in the state of California, we have a little over 1.3 million Filipino Americans. And we actually have the largest concentration of Filipinos in LA County outside of the Philippines. And I think you can definitely feel that in here today. So thank you for being here. You know, today we really wanted to honor the women and men who really make public works so special and who put so much of their hard work, time, effort, sweat, love to building the city. And you can really see the contributions of Filipino Americans in our streets, in our buildings, in our bridges, and also within the internal operations of City Hall. And so today we're really honored to recognize some of these men and women who make public works what it is. And so thank you in advance for all you're going to do, and thank you for everything that you've done. And so I'm actually going to call up my colleagues to help me co-present. And we also have some representatives here, namely a lot of our general managers are here to also recognize the efforts of these honorees from each respective bureau. And I do also want to give a special shout out to people in the community who are here today, Valinda and David Raquello, who serve on not one, not two, but 3 neighborhood councils. Wave so I can embarrass you for a quick second. Thank you.
Linda's not waving. There she is.
And I also want to quickly embarrass my colleagues in City Council from CD1 and CD13, Gigi and Gerald. Thank you for being here and supporting. And also to the LA Filipino American Employees Association, because I think that's about half their people back there, so also known as LaFace. And so I'm going to have Gary stand up here with me for the first one. But the first person that we would like to honor is a senior administrative clerk from the Bureau of Engineering, George Adea.
Okay, I feel stood up already. George has his barong on. I have one.
So George Adea was born in Manila, Philippines. There he studied business administration at De La Salle College, and then went on to work in the security paper products that supply the banking industry in the Philippines with specialized paper for fraud prevention. Emigrating to the United States in 1991, George worked with a property management firm in the LA area until he started with his city service with the Bureau of Engineering in January 31st, 2000. Luckily for the Bureau of Engineering, George's wife, Lisa, who was already a city employee, pushed George to take his city exam in 1999, and he's been with us in the administration division ever since. George and his wife, Lisa, who recently retired from the Bureau of Street Services this past February, have 3 children. I believe a bunch of them are in the crowd today. Their eldest son, Lester, is a master sergeant in the U.S. Air Force. Their daughter, Catherine, who's a fashion designer, and Matthew is pursuing a degree in engineering. Shocking. Next, I would like to introduce our city engineer, Mr. Gary Lee Moore, who is going to continue to share some nice words about George. And again, thank you for all you do.
Thank you, Commissioner Caloza, and thanks to the board for doing this. It's wonderful. I love diversity, and the commissioners said there's a lot of celebrations by Filipinos this month. I think Filipinos celebrate family and get together year-round, so I'm going to say it's a wonderful, wonderful celebration. Joined today by many of George's friends in the Bureau of Engineering, Robert Katamatsu in the Administration Division. Raise your hands. There you are. Yay. George oversees our board report unit, and commissioners and all of us in the department, we know board reports. And every board report is easy. There's never any late requests. There's never any changes. There's never anything whatsoever. I don't know what George does all day. Just obviously for the people that are listening, I'm only joking because...
We only do 1 or 2 a year anyway.
Yeah, we only do 1 or 2 a year. I'm only joking. The beauty of George is every one of these reports are always a rush. And every one of them needs corrections. And every time you go see George, he has a smile on his face. And he never makes you feel bad for making changes. And he doesn't do it just for me or the other on the executive division or the division manager. He does it for everybody. He treats everybody the same. And I think that's the beauty and the quality that I just admire and most in George is treating everybody equally. And he just does it with a smile, and he knows that it's urgent, and he just puts everybody at a common ease, and he says, I'll take care of it, and he does. And it means so much to us, George, that you're being recognized this morning, and we're just so proud that you chose to work with the Bureau of Engineering, and I'm just honored to work with you on a daily basis. Congratulations, George.
Distinguished member of the commission, represented by President Kevin James, the members of the executive division of the Bureau of Engineering, my colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'll make it brief. Thank you for the recognition, and I can't believe I've been chosen among the more deserving Filipino who are working with the city of Los Angeles. So I would like to again thank you very much for the recognition that was given to me. And I hope I can cash this in the bank. Just kidding. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Adia.
Your wife and your son and your sister.
Can I introduce to you my family, Lisa? My wife, my son, Matthew, and my sister-in-law, Serna.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up, I would like to introduce President James to the stand, who is going to be helping us co-present along with Enrique Saldivar, General Manager for LA Sanitation and Environment, as well as Alex Halou. Oh, you came up early.
So, hi everybody. Let me just, it does say on my script that I'm allowed to ad-lib a little bit if I would like. So there is one thing that I do want to add before we recognize Cecile. I'm not sure how many of you had the opportunity to be here on Friday evening for the celebration that we had here at City Hall. Any of you able to be here? Those of you that were here saw the spectacular lighting of City Hall in the colors of the Filipino flag. And it was gorgeous. It was one of the most beautiful sights for this building. And the timing was incredible because we have this new technology that now enables us to light the building essentially digitally. And it was an incredible showing, I thought, on Friday night, and what was a perfect event and a beautiful night. So I did want to mention that because it was the entire city's recognition and honoring of the Filipino-American community for the whole world to see, and one of the most photographed city hall, if not the most photographed city halls in America. So congratulations. Thank you, Commissioner Colosa, for your leadership on that. And I just wanted to share that opportunity. And there are photos that are floating around. If you weren't here to see it live, be sure and look them up. They are spectacular. And with that, we would like to honor Cecile Buncio, who we all know very well from LA Sanitation. There we are. I was like, I saw her a minute ago. So Cecile works with us regularly, most notably when I'm there. It's in various meetings related to the franchise and other issues. But Cecile, you are always, as you are this morning, always there with an amazing smile, a great attitude, happy to do the work that you do and the difference that you make in our city. And it's infectious. It rubs off on everyone. So I want to congratulate you on your recognition today. Cecile was actually recruited to work at LA Sanitation after earning a bachelor's degree in chemical engineering from Cal State Long Beach. Chemical engineering, one of those, I come from a family of engineers, but the engineering courses were too hard for me. So I went a different route, but I'm glad that so many of you decided to go on the engineering route. Cecile also received a master's degree from California State University Northridge at CSUN and a professional engineering license in chemical engineering. Not long after that, Cecile began her career as an engineering associate at the Industrial Waste Management Division, then worked for the Solid Resources Support Services Division and the all-important Regulatory Affairs Division. In addition, she now is the division manager of LA Sanitation's 24/7 Customer Service Care Center. And thank you, Cecile, for that incredible work. That's, in many instances, our constituents' first approach into the city government. And that's why the work, at least the obvious reason of why the work is so important. Over the years, Cecile, we appreciate your commitment to public works and to the mission of our great department. And with that, I would like to introduce Enrique Zaldivar.
Thank you, President James. It's an honor to be recognizing someone who has become so special to LA San. Cecile once held the record of being the youngest division manager in LA San. Still ranks among the younger division managers, but she held the record for a good 3-4 years. And you heard what Commissioner James talked about, her moving around the department. It's a sign of her willingness to do just about whatever is good for the customers, good for the residents, good for the department. She's worked in 4 or 5 different places, or maybe even more if I was counting them right, within LA San. And a bit of a nod of an assignment for a chemical engineer to be spearheading and running what is a 24/7 operation, nonstop. She is working well into the morning hours, 7 days a week. Anyone from LA San knows how dedicated she is to her customers. And her customers are about 4 million people, as well as those of us internally. It's no surprise that President James and Commissioner Calosa figured that the Recycla emblem should be up there. Because Cecile, and you'll hear a little later, was crucial in navigating us, helping us navigate through the implementation of Recycla. President James saw Cecile every other week. Actually, for a while, every week. But very critical, all on her own. She came up with this dashboard on tracking the implementation. And I know I haven't yet done a full history of my own genealogy, but I do know there are Filipino Americans who carry my name, Zaldivar. In fact, within LA San, and I thought, who is my cousin? But we share something in common, Commissioner Calosa. At some point, we'll end up being related. So I want to congratulate Cecile. There's this thing about a chemical engineer working in LA San. There's some bias from Alex. He's a chemical engineer, so he'll talk about it a little bit. But Cecile, thank you so much, and you represent the best of LA San. Thank you.
Good morning. So I have to embarrass Cecile a little bit. First, I want to thank you, Commissioner Calosa, for your leadership and support of LA San. I want to thank you, Commissioner James, and the entire board for your selection of Cecile. There is a great football coach, Joe Gibbs, who said, you hire right and talented people. Life is just like football. You just hire the right and talented people, and they'll make you look good. Cecile is one of those talented engineers in LA San that makes us look good day in and day out. I had the pleasure of working with Cecile for most of her career in LA San. Cecile is a hardworking, dedicated employee. She is intelligent problem solver and always on the leading edge on many programs implemented by LA San. Several years ago, before climate change was even a household name, Cecile, on her own accord and initiative, contacted EPA, and she basically partnered with them on developing LA Sanitation Climate Adaptation Plan. The plan was used not only by LA San, but EPA used it as a model for other cities around the country to develop the plan. She's very shy and she would never tell you all the great things that she really done. She has successfully transferred the customer care center to a data-driven system to track performances of every single piece of our operation in LA San, from clean streets, where you see our staff in the back, to basically Recicla. She's currently working with Amazon on revamping our customer care center to make the job of our city employee and our residents much more easier so they have a better customer experience. What makes Cecile unique is her love and dedication to the city of Los Angeles residents. She's always available 24/7, 7 days a week, even holidays. I don't know how she does it, but Cecile even finds the time in her busy schedule to be a mentor to so many, and she helps people prepare for the Solid Resources exam. Thank you, Cecile. Cecile, I'm standing here today on behalf of the men and women of LA Sanitation and the exact team who's standing over there to tell you that we are so proud of you, and we also think this is congratulations on this award. You deserve it. And we know you have many years to come.
Thank you, Commissioner Caloza. Thank you, President James, commissioners, bureau reps, of course, our general manager, Mr. Enrique Zalvar, Alex Salou, my mentor, and all of our executive office, as well as our LA San colleagues and coworkers. Like what they say, I'm normally the shy type, and I'm like behind the scenes, but I'm really truly honored and grateful for this award, and I'm really very grateful that the Filipino American community is being recognized for its contribution to the city of Los Angeles, and like what our general manager and my executive, Mr. Alex Liu, has mentioned, I've always worked for sanitation. I am a sanitation baby, and I'm really very grateful for working for a very excellent organization. This is where I grew up professionally and personally. I didn't bring my family with me because sanitation is like my second home. They're my second family. And I wanted to thank each one of them for coming here and basically like supporting me and supporting sanitation. So thank you very much.
Congratulations, Cecile. Commissioner Caloza.
Thank you, President James. And if I will add something about Cecile myself, she gave me a tour of the customer service center, and one of the first things she wanted to do was, outside of caring for the customers that call into the customer care line, she really wanted to care for the team behind that. And even something as small as buying a popcorn machine or putting up decorations and just making the place that they work a brighter and more positive place to work. That's the amount of thought and detail she puts to making sure that everyone feels at home. So thank you, Cecile. And next, I'm excited to have my colleague, Commissioner Teresa Villegas, and I believe this is your first presentation. Welcome again to the board, and Commissioner Villegas will be doing our next honoree for Streets LA.
Good morning, everyone. It is a little awkward facing the board and the public. I'm 3 weeks into the job, and I love it. Well, good morning, everyone. I am I have Streets LA under my purview, and the employee that we will be recognizing today, I'd like to bring up Marcial El Amin. Oh, there she is. And we are recognizing her for her management analyst for the Bureau of Street Services, Streets LA. Maricel El Amin started working for the City of Los Angeles in March 1999. The first department she worked for was the Community Development Department, currently Economic Workforce Development, as a contract administrator for 6 years. She was also a contract administrator for the Los Angeles airports for 8 years, overseeing airport services, concessions, and contracts. And she decided to add to her city experience and moved to grants section for Los Angeles Fire Department in July 2013 and worked there for 2 years. Maricel started working for Streets LA Urban Forestry Division in September 2015, and Maricel was hired for the City of Los Angeles Sidewalk Repair Program. Way to go. During the program's implementation phase, and contributing and exchanging ideas on policies and procedures of the program. She's also supervising the administrative staff and assist with Urban Forestry Division, and her work has been a great contribution for the Bureau of Street Services. Thank you very much. Congratulations. And now I'm going to turn this over to our director. Thank you.
Good morning, and thank you, Commissioner. I wanted to say good morning in Filipino, and I'm trying to do it, so I'm going to try. Magandang umaga, right? It's good. So I have like, so it's it's what I always remembered about the Filipino people. I think Enrique talked about it, Gary talked about it, and it's about family. They're very committed to family. They're very committed to respect and committed to hard work. But also have something in common, like Enrique has last name. I love food, so we have that in common too. So paella was great last time, last Friday, so I love it. Maya Angelou said, in diversity, there is beauty and there is strength. And Commissioner, thank you for your leadership and reminding us every day about the importance of beauty and strength in our diversity and celebrating our heritage and who we are and our employees. So thank you, Commissioner Colosa, for what you're doing, and thank you to all of you for always reminding us we need to stop and thank and recognize who we are and our heritage and diversity. Maricel is a true example of that. She's one that works behind the scenes all the time. Many of you probably haven't seen her, but the reason the sidewalk program works is because of her. She's the one in urban forestry working hard every day, processing tree permits, processing and working with the team in urban forestry and Tim Tyson and his team on getting the job done. But she do it with a smile, with a great attitude, with this infectious attitude that everybody now feels good about what they're doing. And she doesn't say no. And I think that's a common theme in Filipino employees and people that we know. They're always there to do the extra job, to work hard, because that's what it's all about. And I appreciate that in everyone, but especially in American Filipino members of our city family and everywhere. I mean, in her work, she is key in actually saving 3,600 trees since 2015. She processed and although worked hard to get the permits done to remove 600 trees, she helped also in getting the process working to plant 1,200 trees. Her work and her dedication and making sure everybody's working together with the Bureau of Engineering and with our urban forestry and with the board to get those cleared is helping us make our city safe, mobile, and sustainable. And Maricel, on behalf of the family here in Streets LA, on behalf of the city family, thank you for what you do. We have a lot of unsung heroes, and it's about time we bring some of them out in the front to celebrate them. I'm so proud of you, so proud of the work you're doing. Thank you for being who you are.
Thank you, Commissioners, President. I'm nervous. Can you tell, President James? I am very honored and humbled to receive this commendation. I'm more like behind the scenes type of person, but I wanna accept this not just for me, but the whole Urban Forestry Division. Who, we're all a team and family. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Commissioner Caloza.
Next up, I'm going to have my seatmate and colleague, Commissioner Mike Davis, do our next honoree for the Bureau of Contract Administration. If you can also have Hannah Choi, our Assistant General Manager, here as well.
Commissioner Davis.
Oh, me first, okay. Great. It's an honor and it's certainly a privilege for me to be here doing Filipino Heritage Month. I think one of the strengths of the programs that we do in the city of Los Angeles is really to, on an every year basis, to execute the Heritage Month series, because it does give us an opportunity to really appreciate the positive contributions that all of the various diverse cultures in general make to the city of Los Angeles, but today, certainly the contributions of Filipino Americans. And as our department head, Adele, said, and I join him in this, what I also additionally appreciate is the great food, as you can see. So with that, it is my honor to present the awardee from the Contract Administration Bureau, and that is Angela Tubukan.
Angela.
Is that right? Angela is a management analyst for the Bureau of Contract Administration in the certification, outreach, regulations, and enforcement section. Angela works in certification, which helps increase the diversity of the vendor contracting pool in the city of Los Angeles. She is the lead in organizing the city's flagship Access LA events, which I know very much about, which provides subcontractors with subcontracts and primes with the networking opportunities to connect with large primes and public agencies. Angela also coordinates the Los Angeles Business Academy with the proprietary departments and the Department of Public Works. Her dedication and passion for assisting businesses is evident in her willingness to meet with and educate them. This dedication is only surpassed by her creativity, ability to multitask, and attention to detail that makes all of our outreach events a success. She is the proud and devoted mother of 4, Felicia and Ramon, who are continuing the family tradition of working for the city at the Zoo and HCID, Housing and Community Investment Department, respectively. Patrick, who works for Amazon, and James, a business major at University of California, Riverside. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming our honoree from the Bureau of Contract Administration, Angela Tubukan.
Hannah, hello.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. On behalf of John Reamer, our director, and we also have Chris Smith, our other assistant director, here with us, and of course Linda McGlinchey, who supervises the core section of the Office of Contract Compliance, Bureau of Contract Administration. We are so excited to honor Angela Tubukan. That's correct, right? Yeah, good job. All right. It's always wonderful to celebrate diversity, and we are really excited to partake in the festivities and the celebration of Filipino American Heritage Month. And Angela, I have worked with very closely over the years. And so I was thinking about, it's always like, how do you replace John Reamer, right, in a presentation? So I thought, well, this is coming from my heart. And I took her name and came up with some distinctive features or characteristics of Angela that I wanted to share with the whole Public Works family today. So, no, it's from my heart, Angela. So Angela, A stands for always ready to help, whether it's running the largest outreach event for the city of LA or supporting a sick coworker with groceries, whatever it is, she's always ready to help. And then N, she never gives up. This woman, it doesn't matter what it takes, she will find a solution to a problem that we have. And G is gratitude is ingrained in her DNA. She is forever thankful for everything that happens around her. And then this is my favorite because it impacts me and my family. She has extended my lifespan by reducing all kinds of stress in my life. And some of the commissioners know putting on those events can be very stressful. But before I can even ask her something, she's already handled it. So thank you so much. And Elle, she loves her job. She says it every day. She's like, oh no, tomorrow's my RDO. I don't get to come to work tomorrow. And then A, she achieves every goal. She starts with a cheerful attitude. So it is such a joy to have her, in our office. We have many wonderful Filipino American co-workers in the office who've pretty much, I think, they've caught the values of hard work and honoring the elders and family. And so I thank your parents for helping you catch that. And, she comes from 3 generations of city employees, and starting with her mother-in-law, who worked in the Bureau of Accounting at that time as a bureau, and she was an assistant director at the time. And her, and then, of course, her children, too. So we're very grateful, and congratulations.
Good morning, President James, Commissioners, Hannah. I just wanted to say thank you for this recognition, which I share with all my other Filipino American co-workers who have really set the bar high, aside from my mother-in-law and my sisters-in-law. Hi, Teresa and Edel. And, of course, my 2 kids, they're working. One's still under probation, and the other one, I told her, it's okay, it's not a big deal. I go, work. They have set the bar high for diligence and excellence, and the work ethic that they've shown has been instilled in everyone, and I really appreciate this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Andrea.
And I will add, for Angela, I get to work with her on one of those large outreach events, Accessing LA, and she really does pour her heart and soul into making sure that small businesses in particular have access to what the city's doing. And so the entire city really has you to thank and really benefit from all your hard work. So thank you. Next up, I would like to introduce Commissioner Garcia, also now our Vice President. Congratulations, to do our next honoree for the Bureau of Street Lighting.
Well, good morning to everyone. It's such a beautiful sight to come and see, and our chamber is actually really nice and full with very vibrant people celebrating such a beautiful heritage, our Filipino American month. So I'm very honored to be part of this, and thank you, Commissioner Calosa, for making me part of this as well, and making me part of your celebration on Friday. Thank you for that too. But here we are today to celebrate our Bureau of Street Lighting and highlight one of our Filipino American workers who is doing an extraordinary job at site. So With that, I introduce Ryan Urbano from Bureau of Street Lighting. Ryan Urbano is a management analyst for the Bureau of Street Lighting. Currently, he supervises the financial section, which oversees the preparation of the budget, monitoring of several funding sources, and transfer of funds, overseeing all the hiring, hall accounts, preparation of several reports such as financial status report, construction project report, and reversion of funds and revenue report. Those are all the really important reports. Thank you. They are. Ryan is the lead in preparing the tracking reports for the Street Lighting Maintenance Assessment Fund. The SLMAF is the Bureau's main funding source, and it is imperative that we have correct and up-to-date information. He has developed and oversees the comprehensive SLMAF report and provides critical information used by executive management in making financial decisions. Further, he is also responsible in monitoring the MICLA fund, which involves loan analysts, billings, debt service, and tracking of the Bureau's high-profile program expenditures. Ryan Urbano has been a valuable employee since he joined the Bureau in April 2010. He has shown great diligence and dedication to his work and performs his assignments well with minimum instructions. He has always been open to learning things and welcomes new assignments that come his way. Ryan also patiently trains his staff and peers and offers assistance whenever is needed. He accepts and does all his work with very friendly attitude. His multiple roles and responsibilities are a testament to his efficiency and dependability. We thank you, Ryan, for your dedication and commitment to your duties. You are a vital part of our Bureau. Thank you. Congratulations. And now, Norma, our Executive Director of Bureau Street Lighting.
Good morning. Good morning, commissioners, executive team, and everybody here today who is here to basically come here to support all of our Filipino Americans who are here in the city working very hard every day. As a director, if you're lucky, you have key people in your organization that you can depend on to oversee important programs. Typically, these people are low-key, do their work quietly, and don't go around looking for praise. Ryan Urbano is one of those people for our Bureau. He is knowledgeable, ready to help with a problem, and someone you can go for answers. Also, for the most part, we don't always tell these key people thank you for everything you do and how you do it. Now, I have Bureau staff here who I would like to kind of raise your hands and here in support of Ryan. And today is the day for us all to let Ryan know that he is appreciated for everything he does, and we all want to thank him extremely very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ryan.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Board Commissioner, President James, my colleagues, city family. Just wanted to thank you for this recognition, for everything. I mean, so mabuhay and salamat.
Thank you, sir. Congratulations.
So in addition to picking honorees from our 5 bureaus, we also wanted to recognize 2 individuals from the offices directly under the board. And so we have 2 additional honorees. And the first one, I'm going to have Uduak Enta come up, who is with our Office of Petroleum and Natural Gas Administration and Safety.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. I'm excited to introduce Francisco Sonny Berberade to be recognized. Hey. Sonny can come on up. Sonny is our senior environmental engineer in our office, and he was our first hire. We're the newest office in the Board of Public Works, and we consider him our Swiss Army knife. He can do engineering reviews, pipeline franchise agreements, billing, you name it, community events. He's there, reliable, dependable, and just a huge asset. This office and the role was really not filled for the past 30 years. So some of the records that we had to go through were almost 100 years old. And so Sonny has gone through, did the most modern inventory of the oil and gas infrastructure in the city of LA. He's gone through and done our inspection program and working with our consultant. He's done oil well abandonments, drill site inspections where we have 30 people going out and looking at every pump and valve and switch to make sure things are permitted and done right. But Sonny's been with the city for 31 years. Started as a lab tech and worked his way up as an inspector, and as an engineer, and as a supervisor, and incredibly proud and honored that he accepted our offer to come to the Office of Petroleum Administration about 2.5 years ago. So please give Sonny a big round of applause and thank you for all your service.
Sonny.
President James, I'm not here to present a request for a write-off today. I've been a regular visitor here for write-off, but today I'd like to thank Commissioner Caloza for the recognition. Thank you for all the commissioners. My city experience has been a great one. When I immigrated here into the United States way back in 1985, my family told me, hey, apply for the city of LA. It's a great job. And I said, sure, why not? And I told them, I'll stay in the United States for 10 years, and then I go back home to the Philippines. But I've been here in the United States for almost 35 years, and I've been working for the city for 31. So I would like to thank all my mentors that are here today, especially Uduak for giving me the opportunity to be part of this great new group. Sharam, who's here, Sharam Kargani, Lisa Maury, and my first division manager at Industrial Waste, Tim DeFeta. So these are my mentors. They have given me the opportunity to excel on every aspect of my work here in the city of Los Angeles. And again, thank you for this recognition.
Congratulations, Sonny. Thank you.
And thank you, Sonny, for also helping us on Friday. One of the main things we did for the lighting ceremony was to really make it as sustainable as possible with the help of also LA Sanitation for providing compostable materials for everyone to use. We also gave everyone refillable bottles. And so Sonny was frantically helping us fill, along with my husband, about 300 water bottles. So thank you for being a super volunteer in addition to the work that you do as well.
And by the way, if I can interrupt you for a moment, Commissioner Caloza, I would, having gone to probably all of the Heritage Month and History Month celebrations in the last 12 months, I think yours wins the Sustainability Award for that. Because I compare and contrast, and that was notable on Friday night. So, congratulations. Go ahead.
Thank you for that. We couldn't have done it without everyone's help. So. And certainly last but not least, we would like to call up Victoria or Vicky Santiago, who heads up our accounting office, provides a critical function to Public Works, and she'll be doing the last honoree.
Ms. Santiago, welcome.
Good morning. First of all, I would like to thank Commissioner Caloza for pioneering this Filipino heritage recognition in the Department of Public Works. I hope this will go on every year. As a Filipina coming from the same origin, this is a good reminder to us, and not only to the Filipinos, but most of us here in the city of Los Angeles who came from different nationalities, to once in a while remember and where we came from and recognize our roots, even if we are here now in the city of Los Angeles, who embraced us with open arms. So thank you, Commissioner. And thank you also for the rest of the commissioners for being on board on this. We'd like to recognize Anton J. Castro. AJ started with the city in 2016, or rather February 2016. And barely less than 10 months after that, he showed his capability to understand governmental accounting and how, especially in public works, the third largest department in the city but has the most complicated business, to understand how we account for the projects in public works. And at that time, FMS was also new with its FMS2 version, and they introduced what they call service contract, in which public works is the most affected because we have thousands of contracts in public works. So they were, as to, at that time said, be involved, actively participate in the development of FMS so that the business of public works is represented. And so I asked the division managers to nominate accountants and senior accountants to be sent to FMS, and AJ was one of them. Also, at that early stage, we have at that time plagued with vacancies, and so we tapped on AJ to act as senior accountant in SCM. He was just an accountant, he was new, but he did not refuse. He accepted the challenge. He acted as senior accountant with an accountant pay in SCM for 2 years until he got promoted in September 2018 when we had the senior accountant list. But for 2 years, he was able to show his leadership. He was able to make his co-accountants work with him as their lead person. He taught them selflessly. He shared his knowledge. And the good thing is, he did not only teach, which is the one that I like, the part that I like, he did not only teach them the how to do things, because I told as I keep telling everyone in accounting, the how can be done even by a robot. It can be programmed. The most important thing is for you to know the why you are doing things the way you're doing it. And that's how AJ was teaching his colleagues, and they are very much appreciative of that. They even tell me vocally that they learn a lot from AJ. And also, during 2017, controllers delegated all payments below 100,000, the responsibility for pre-audit to the departments. And so that's the time we have to come up with an internal control procedures for public works. And I created a task force composed of senior accountants, and AJ was one of them as an acting senior accountant. And they were able to develop these internal control procedures for the first time for the Department of Public Works, which we introduced and we disseminated to the bureaus, and AJ was also part of those who trained the bureaus. When FMS2 was implemented, AJ was also one of those who trained the bureaus on their participation in FMS. The latest one is the task force for the creation of the daily invoice monitoring system, which AJ was also a participant. And the last one is, this is very important for SCM because they are being audited, is he developed a system where they can gather all the retention payables of the Department of Public Works, because there's no account in FMS that monitors retention payables, but auditors had an audit finding 2 years ago about our retention payables. You know, we have always retention from our contracts. It would be housed in the department, or it could be housed in the escrow companies. And he developed the system where instead of manually looking at all the contracts with retention payables, he was able to extract it from our system called Merlin. And that's why I did not hesitate nominating AJ for this recognition. And now I'd like to introduce Amy, who is AJ's direct supervisor, to say something about AJ.
Morning. Good morning, President James, commissioners, and everyone. When I found out that AJ was getting this recognition award, I wasn't surprised, and I wanted to speak a few words on his contribution to not only the Office of Accounting, but to the Department of Public Works. AJ promoted to the senior accountant in Special Funds Division, handling the Capital Improvement Expenditure Program, as well as BOE's general funds and special funds. and he's been working in the Special Funds Division a little over a year. At that time, many people had told me that he was good and that I was lucky to have him in my division, and I quickly realized what they meant. AJ proved that he could handle any assignments given to him. Anyone who's worked with AJ, including those in the Bureau, had only positive things to say about him. In our office, AJ is one of the few go-to person we rely on to complete special assignments because we knew we can count on him to get things accomplished. AJ was assigned as part of the Special Task Force team to develop the pre-demand audit internal control policies and procedure manual. And he is also one of the trainers that Office of Accounting designated to train the Bureau staff on invoice processing and payment procedure, which also includes the processing of contract documents in FMS. During the time AJ was working with the task force and training bureaus, he also had to juggle training staff in his former division, the Sewer Construction and Maintenance Division, as well as training 2 new staff in his new section in the Special Funds Division. And despite the numerous additional duties assigned to him, AJ ensured that his regular assignments in his new section never fell behind. He continues to go above and beyond to help his former divisions with the area of financial reporting and accounts payable. AJ eagerly accepts new challenges, challenging assignments, and generously pass on his knowledge and expertise to everyone in the Office of Accounting. He is a great mentor to his staff and colleagues in Office of Accounting. So I'm not only lucky to have AJ in my division, I think Public Works is lucky to have him working in our department. So AJ most definitely deserves this recognition today.
Thank you.
Before AJ speaks, may I recognize also the staff from Office of Accounting? Can you raise your hand? Thank you for being here. They take this an opportunity also to see the faces of the Board of Commissioners, whose names they see only in the letterhead and in the Board of Report. So now they see you guys.
Good morning, and thank you to Department of Public Works, headed by President Kevin James. Thank you very much to the members of the board and the commissioners, and to Commissioner Calosa for taking an initiative over to these, appreciating and recognizing the Filipino American talents in the city service. So I was lucky to be in the public works, in the city service, to be able to participate or to have a contribution in the community. They always ask, like, in the city service, you always see a lot of infrastructures, projects, but then they said, like, okay, these are recognized by all those whoever works this one. But then, if you will think of it, all the projects, there's an accountant behind it. Every project, every infrastructure, there is an accountant behind it. It's not gonna go through, it's not gonna finish without the contributions of my accounting group. So with that, I want to thank also the support of my Office of Accounting, headed by Ms. Victoria Santiago, and Assistant Director Miguel de la Peña, the division managers, Ms. Yolanda Antonio, Carlito Dagdagan, and of course my supervisor, Amy Chang, and of course my colleague, Office of Accounting, right, standing right over here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, AJ. So, Commissioner Calosa?
Thanks. So we have 10 more honorees. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for your time, for, you know, what seems like a longer presentation than usual, but actually in the grand scheme of things really isn't, when you just take time to pause and recognize the contributions of the 7 individuals we honored here today. They do so much for our city, and my only wish is that I wish we could honor everybody who's Filipino, maybe next year, right? We'll hold an entire day to do this. But thank you again to the board. Thank you to the mayor, to Ana, for all their support throughout the years. Please don't leave yet. We have a big group photo. And, you know, one of the things, as Commissioner James mentioned, was the lighting again on Friday. And I do want to thank our Public Works family for going above and beyond and helping us deliver a really historic event, and we could not have done it without you. So happy Filipino American History Month. I promise this is the last Filipino event you'll see from me for at least a year. And so till then, but cheers and thank you to everyone.
Thank you, Commissioner Caloza. So, one housekeeping item before we return to our regular agenda. We do want to take a group photo with our honorees and the general managers. I think because of the number of people we have in the room, we should do it up here. Yeah, do you think? Ah, beautiful. Our photographic producer, Mr. Hoshkhalil, we'll do it right here with everyone in the background. So don't everybody leave yet. And we'll be right back after a 2-minute recess.
I don't see you that often. Oh, wait, the guys.
Okay, good morning. TJ, are we back up? Thank you, everyone. Let's return to our regularly scheduled agenda. As we put the room back together. Let's see. Let's go ahead and approve our meeting minutes from the meeting of Wednesday, October 23rd, 2019. Is there a second to my motion to approve the meeting minutes? By Commissioner Villegas, thank you. Any objection? Without objection, we'll approve our meeting minutes. let's go ahead and go to agenda item number 4. We have a stop payment notice. Walters Wholesale Electric, number 22, is transmitting a stop payment notice in the amount of $205,265.84 for furnishing electric supplies to Elknor Belco Electric, the apparent subcontractor in connection with the Riverside Drive near Zoo Drive Bridge over Los Angeles River project. The primary contractor is Ortiz Enterprises Incorporated. Mr. Sachs, you have a card in on number 4.
Thank you. Good morning, Arnold
Morning.
Sachs. Really simple question here. So the primary contractor for this project is Ortiz Enterprises Incorporated. So they would be able to go out and get the subcontractors. And I'm thinking that Walters Wholesale Electric number 22 is a subcontractor. So if they're a subcontractor, oh wait, I'm sorry, Elmcor Belco Electric is the subcontractor. So they got the material from Walters Wholesale Electric number 22. So why isn't the project contractor stopping the payment? Or why isn't the subcontractor stopping the payment? Who is Walters Electric in? They furnished electrical supplies. So what happened? I give the city attorney supplies, and he has Mr. Davis. Yeah, I give you grief. How's that? And Mr. Davis says, no, I'm going to stop who from paying the bill? What's the connection here? Why do we have who's on first, what's on second? I don't know third base. It's a simple thing. Either Ortiz Enterprise stops the payment, or Elcor Belco stops the payment. One or the other, and what's the reason for stopping the payment? Why are they dissatisfied? Poor work in the city of Los Angeles? Please. I can't believe my ears that somebody would even suggest that. I slapped myself. So somebody could please straighten that out. It would really go a long way to helping the public understand just what the hell is going on with all this money that's floating around and nothing ever getting done. Thank
2
you.
minutes.
Thank you. Of course, we don't vote on these items. We just receive them. Is there a second to my motion that we receive agenda item number 4 forthwith? By Commissioner Garcia, any objection? Without objection, that'll be the order on number 4. Agenda item number 1, addendum number 2. This is from Sanitation, Environmental Impact Report and Plan Approval, citywide exclusive franchise system for solid waste collection and handling and zero waste LA franchise system. This is our Recycla facility certification program. Recommending that the board first consider and adopt the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA Addendum 2, with the Certified Program Environmental Impact Report and Addendum, and find the previously certified EIR and Addendum remain relevant. Second, find that no new or increased significant effects would occur, and no new mitigation measures or alternatives would be required. The facility certification program is within the scope of the program approved by the Certified Program EIR, that's Recycla. The Certified Program EIR adequately describes the Facility Certification Program, that's FCP, for the purposes of CEQA, and no new environmental document is required. Number 3, readopt the Mitigation Monitoring Reporting Program and mitigation measures set forth and adopted by the city on April 15, 2014, as set forth in Addendum 2. Number 4, readopt the CEQA findings and statement of overriding considerations adopted by the city on April 15, 2014, as set forth in Addendum 2. Number 5, approve Sanitation's FCP, that's Facility Certification Program, for the following types of facilities. A, solid waste transfer and or dirty materials recovery facility, that's a MRF. A facility that accepts and transfers, pre-processes and or processes mixed solid waste materials. Those are Recycla black bin materials. Secondly, which is listed as B, organic and green waste transfer and or pre-processing and or processing, a facility that accepts and transfers, pre-processes and or processes mixed organics. That's food and green waste. food waste, or green waste materials. Those are the Recycla green bin materials, excluding compost facilities. Number C, sources separated or clean MRF, a facility that accepts and transfers and or processes commingled recyclable materials. Those are the Recycla blue bin materials. Number D, disposal landfills class 3. Number E, composting facilities. Number F, solid waste transformation facilities. G, are waste to energy facilities. H, all facilities not otherwise specified and within 500 feet of a sensitive receptor, such as a residence, a park, or a school, and are utilized by Recycla service providers, the RSPs, to process Recycla materials. Number 6, authorize the Director of Sanitation or his designee to certify facilities for up to 5 years with a detailed review conducted annually. Number 7, authorize the Director of Sanitation or his designee to file a notice of determination with the county clerk regarding the approval of sanitation's facility certification program. Recognizing we may have a revision or two along the way, before we go to our agency report on this is, and we'll hear about this, it is coming back to the Board of Public Works almost exactly 1 year to the date that it was last here. I'm going to guess that's wind. Oh, you're closing those? Oh, the windows were open. Thank you. Okay, appreciate it. We have some speaker cards on agenda item number 1. We'll take them in the order in which I have them. Gracia Lopez Reyes.
And President, I just want to put on the record to confirm that we are joined by Commissioners Garcia and Davis.
Oh, okay, we have all 5 here. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Grecia Lopez Reyes. I'm an organizer with the Don't Waste LA Coalition. We've come here several times now, and we wanted to specifically remind you of the urgency to pass facility certification. About a year ago, we came during this season, Dia de los Muertos, where we celebrate and remember the loved ones that have passed away. Last year, around this time, residents from Pacoima presented to all of you an altar to remind you of the lives that have been impacted by the waste industry. Waste facilities have slowly been killing community as a result of pollution and the toxics that come out of these facilities. This community has to cope with the death and illnesses resulting from pollution, such as cancer, asthma, respiratory problems. These are stories that you've heard firsthand from community. For this reason, this program is crucial in improving the lives of residents and workers. We're pleased and thankful to see your leadership in moving this item forward, as this represents a tremendous step forward for our communities. We're also pleased to see that you've added a community component where all communities, particularly those who are most impacted, will be updated on the progress being made. Our only ask is that we be at the table as you continue to shape the community portion of this policy. We'd like to request that the Don't Waste LA Coalition be part of a stakeholder process that helps provide input and shape the community participation component of the policy. And we'd also like to ask that the city come back with a specific community plan within the next 6 months to ensure that this important aspect of the policy moves forward. We are very appreciative of all your work and the work that the city and staff have done to move this forward. And in honor of this season of Dia de los Muertos, we ask you that you honor those who are no longer with us and vote in favor of passing Recicla's facility certification program. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, we have Angelica Gonzalez.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Angelica Gonzalez. I am the Conservation Program Manager for the Angeles Chapter Sierra Club. On behalf of our organization, which is one of the largest environmental organizations in the country, we're here to urge you to move forward in passing the recertification process. As a member of the Sierra Club, we are in very support of Recicla, the franchise system, which makes Los Angeles a national leader when it comes to high environmental standards that will protect Angelinos for generations to come. Thanks to Recicla, our city will now send less waste to landfills, which reduces our dependence on ever-depleting natural resources and helps to mitigate methane and other emissions from rotting waste in landfills. However, in order to progress and move forward towards a zero waste and sustainable LA, we must consider both our regional and community. Recicla is necessary to protect the environment and all its inhabitants, our families, friends, and neighbors. Recicla's facility certification will require waste facilities to be enclosed and to have better ventilation. This will not only improve air quality, but it will help keep harmful byproducts from entering our neighborhoods and our water sources. It will enforce accountability through waste auditing to ensure that required diversion rates are met, and inspectors will be able to verify these numbers and ensure LA is on track to meet our zero waste goals. Our environment cannot survive when plagued and dirty waste facilities are in landfills. Our families cannot survive if this place we call home is filled with toxins in our land and our air. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, we have Zenaida Fuentes. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, honorable members. My name is Zenaida Fuentes. I'm an organizer with Southern California Coalition for Occupational Health and Safety. We are here today to reiterate once more how important it is to go forward with the certification of waste facilities to ensure the safety of workers. As you already know, the waste recycling industry is the 5th most dangerous industry in the entire nation. It is still far too common for workers in this industry, mostly women and people of color, to lack even the most basic safety equipment and standards, such as gloves to sort through waste, masks to protect them from toxic fumes, and access basic things like bathrooms and drinking water. It's also important to realize that if workers can't do their job, they aren't the only ones in danger. Public health in the entire city of Los Angeles is put at risk. For these reasons, we are supportive of today's motion to proceed with facility certification. However, we do have a few friendly amendments that we'd like to state for the record. Two of the more critical components that will determine the effectiveness of this policy are the database and the criteria involved with selecting a quality, reputable company to do any inspections. We'd like to respectfully ask that the city return with a timeline for enacting the public database within the next 3 months. We'd also like to see the city establish a list of basic standards and requirements for any company seeking to do future facilities, inspections, and oversight. Lastly, we'd like to be part of further fleshing out any plan for community involvement, which is mentioned on page 8 of the staff report, as this process still appears to be a work in progress and will require some further discussion. Again, we applaud the city for moving forward with this program. Please vote to approve facility certification. Thank you for your time.
Ms. Fuentes, thank you for the input. Thank you. Robert Nodoff.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Robert Notoff, and I'm the Director of the Don't Waste LA Coalition. And I'm here today to laud the efforts of everybody involved with the facility certification program, as this is a historic moment for the City of LA. As everybody in this room knows, the city embarked on a process 10 years ago to raise standards in the waste and recycling industry. The goals were big, and they weren't for the faint of heart. The city set out to divert 90% of all waste from landfills by 2025, prioritize food for people and not landfills, and improve air quality by eliminating diesel waste trucks and reducing the number of waste trucks on our road. Lastly, the city sought to improve conditions for the workers who navigate the dangerous conditions within the industry, as well as the neighborhoods that are impacted by these waste facilities, which, as we all know, are predominantly comprised of low-income people of color. Setting goals like that takes courage, vision, and most of all, it takes guts. But a policy is empty if there's no mechanism to actually enforce it, and that's why we're here today. Facility certification will bring accountability to our environmental goals, as we'll now be able to track our diversion. Workers and communities will now be better protected, and we'll finally have real transparency and oversight into an industry that impacts every single person living in the city of LA. Again, this is huge and not for the faint of heart. However, before I go, I'd like to ask that the city look into further defining the plan and timeline for establishing a public database, as record keeping and public access to those records will be paramount. I'd also like to ask that there be quarterly reports that provide additional details on the community engagement component of the program, and define a basic set of standards for any private entity that is tasked with any on-site inspections. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Sachs.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, Arnold Sachs. So I'm looking at this, and from the looks of this, you're going to have some facilities in each one of the council districts. You can't get homeless facilities in each one of the council districts, but you can get recyclable facilities in each one of the council districts. And I'm wondering, I heard some of the speakers come up and talk about the safety issues. Why aren't the safety issues addressed before the certification is issued? Make more sense, because once they get the certification, who gives a rat's ass about the safety issues? I'm also wondering, there was a story in the LA Times that was really fascinating about how countries around the world are getting waste that's been shipped from America so that they can go through and sort the waste. They make money going through the waste and getting that recyclable. And this particular story was about, I believe, Indonesia. The people that go through the waste are getting $3 a day. The management is getting $2.75. So I'm wondering if, essentially, if you take your trash and throw it over the neighbor's house fence, or your fence into the neighbor's yard, is that essentially going green? Well, it is for you. Who gives a rat's ass about your neighbor? That's his problem. If you really want to be a leader in global recycling like California talks, they need to walk the walk. And they need to come up with a way to recycle so that the waste from California stays in California, or they find a better solution than then dumping it on some poor nation in the country, because we hear all about this global warming stuff. Well, global, I mean
2 minutes.
global.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. I don't have any further speaker cards on agenda item number 1, so we're ready for our sanitation presentation. Ms. Wine.
Good morning, President James, commissioners, bureau representatives, Mr. Jordan and TJ. Thank you. My name is Joan Huang with LA Sanitation and Environment Commercial Franchise Division. Here today, I'm going to present to you the facility certification program as part of the Recycler program. The overview for facility certification I'm going to present are the goals we hope to achieve, scopes and benefit of certification, certification requirements, and certification application, non-compliance, enforcement action related to facility, and what have we accomplished as of today. Also reporting and record keeping for facilities, and also the overall diversion goal and waste characterization studies that facilities will need to provide. The goals of the facility certification program is to provide health and safety working conditions for facility workers, reduce impacts to public health, the environment, and the surrounding environmental justice communities, provide a voice to the workers and communities to report unsafe conditions, and also to track material handling and processing, assist the City of Los Angeles to meet our zero waste goals, and support mandatory recycling requirement from the state. The benefits and the scopes of certification for facilities includes the certification for facilities will include any facilities that process transfer of materials, disposal, pre-processing, or processing. Benefits include the ability for facilities to receive and process solid waste materials from the recycling programs, and also the opportunity for facilities to partner with sanitation to be a leader to provide, to protect the environment and for the communities that they're in. Facility requirements that we lay out in the facility plan includes facility inspection, regulatory compliance, health and safety requirements, operation controls, facility beautification, community involvement, facility enclosure, inspection records, monthly reports, material trackings, and waste characterizations. On-site inspection at facilities. Compliance with our terms and conditions, proper and working operational controls at the facilities, work safety, equipment, and safe work conditions, environmental issues, and proper management of hazardous waste. Regulatory compliance requirements include that the facilities have all of their applicable federal, state, and local permits, and they're in compliance with the laws, including but not limited to CalRecycle requirements, AQMD, Water Resource Boards, and other agencies. Also, maintaining and meet state standards at each of these facilities, and maintain compliance records from all different regulatory agencies and permit agencies, and they should make it available to LA sanitation staff. A very important key in participating in the Recycling Facility Certification Program is that it is voluntary for the facilities. However, if a facility chooses to accept recycling materials, they have to be certified. So certification is required and mandatory if they were to accept recycling materials. Other facility requirements include health and safety issues. Work safety, proper and safe operations are priorities for our program. Facilities are required to maintain an injury and illness prevention plan, maintain safety and training program, perform annual health and safety audits, and ensure employees must wear proper personal protective equipments. And work areas and traffic control safety are also observed at the facility. Operational controls requirements at the facility includes appropriate control measures for odors, litter, dust, drainage, noise, bird and vector, and traffic controls. Facility beautification. We heard the community. Each facility in the certification program is required to provide a facility landscape improvement plan. This plan must be submitted to us in LA Sanitation within 130 days of the certification issuance.
120 days or 30?
120 days.
Okay.
Facilities can submit an exemption request if they already implemented a beautification or improvement project around the facility to us. Community involvement. Again, this is another key element. We heard the community. For community involvement, we will be providing a phone number where the community can inform us about any issues. We also will be providing a portal, public portal on our website, the Recycling website, where community can report issues with facilities to us. And we will also be posting any non-compliance, notice of compliance, notice of suspension, notice of revocation on any facilities on that website, so community members can have access to it. Also, where we may meet with community members to discuss any issues or changes in any facilities of their concerns. And another element we have included in the plan is that we may allow community members to come along with us to facility inspections with limited rights to the facility with the consent of the facility and some other requirements. We are developing the policies and protocol to implement that, that we will have that ready when we are implementing the facility plan. Facility enclosure. Enclosure is a very important part for our plan. The benefit of enclosure include minimizing environmental nuisance, include noise, harmful particles, and odors for the nearby communities, prevent litter, and helps with vector control, minimize neighborhood and community complaint, and protects the commodities from any adverse weather conditions. For facilities that are required to be enclosed, include transfer stations, material recovery facilities, organic pre-processing or processing facilities, and any facilities that's within 500 feet of a sensitive receptor, which are, a resident, a park, or a school. Facilities are not required to be enclosed in our program, include landfills and composting facilities. We have provided a facility enclosure timeline in the package, in the presentation. So for black bin MSW processing, we are requesting them to be enclosed by end of 2023. And for blue bin processing facilities, that's recycling materials, or any facilities within 500 feet of a sensitive receptor, we are requesting them to be enclosed by 2026. Also, I forgot to mention the green bin, the organic processing, that's on the same timeline as black bin processing, so they need to be enclosed by end of 2023. Inspection records. What we will be looking at on site includes employee training and tonnage records, special occurrences and no-check logs, hazardous material manifest and disposal receipts, underground storage tank or above-ground storage tank records and emergency plans, facility emergency contingency plans, illness and injury prevention programs, and their respiratory protection programs. All these records are already currently being kept by all facilities in the waste processing facilities. So we want access or the ability to review them on site. To get facility certification, a facility must submit an application to us. Once an application is reviewed and deemed complete, we will schedule inspections and review of records and their permits from different agencies. Certification terms can be valid up to 5 years, but with annual review. So we want an annual update of what's happening at the facility. Also, inspection is at a minimum on a monthly basis, unannounced, unannounced, and can be any time that we show up, that facility needs to give us access to. Facility non-compliance, enforcement actions. We will issue notice of compliance to facilities that either submit incomplete information, incomplete reporting requirements, or not keeping up with their permits, or they're working through their permits from other agencies. Notice of suspension is a higher level enforcement action. That's for issues include that, requests that we have continuously observed and they have not corrected the deficiencies, or they are violating the terms and conditions of the facility plan, or other requirements as outlined in the facility plan. During a notice of suspension, a facility cannot accept any more recyclable materials, but their certification is still valid. A notice of revocation is a very, very severe. It's at times when they are not in compliance at all, and for repeated offenses. They violated health and safety regulations from Cal OSHA or anything like that. And any violation we forwarded to other agencies and they have not corrected. And also any of their operational or other violations. In the notice of a revocation, they cannot accept material, and we give them 30 days to tell their haulers that they cannot accept material. And if they disagree with our notices for suspension and revocation, they can only come to the board to appeal. So far to date, we've been operating as a provisional certification because our plan is not approved. So currently we have 40 facilities in our program that's provisionally certified. We have 90 certification. The reason certification is different from facilities is that we give certifications on processing line. What that means that if a facility processes blue bin material, that's a certification. If they also process MSW or black bin, that's a certification. That's why the number of certification is larger than the number of facilities. So a facility can have multiple certifications. So far, we have conducted over 400 inspections at these 40 facilities. So while we were on the facilities, we have made a lot of observations. And the facilities have made corrections to a lot of the deficiencies that we have identified. So we have been very instrumental at the facilities. Reporting and diversion tracking. Facilities are required to submit monthly tonnage reports, and also once the plan is approved, they are required to do waste composition or waste characterization studies, and that's based on seasons. There will be 2 seasons for a facility to conduct waste characterization studies. And also, the number of samples, waste characterization data will be based on the samples that they perform in each season and the material types that they process. Once the plan is approved, we will immediately conduct and train facilities of how to perform waste characterization studies. The purpose of reporting and diversion tracking is so that the city can determine material capturing efficiency, which means diversion at a facility, so we know what's happening to the materials that the RSP pick up and what's happening at the facilities and where it's going. So we have a very detailed, extensive material tracking system. In the following pages, there are examples of how the reports will look like. Page 19 is an inbound monthly report format that the type of information that the facility needs to provide to us. And then page 20 is the outbound material reporting, what's going out of their facility. Those are the type of information we would like them to give it to us. The waste characterization, we have a guide. We have that the facilities will have so that they know exactly how to perform waste characterization for our purpose. Waste characterization is size sample is based on how many tons of material they process. So, for example, if they process less than 200 tons per day, they're supposed to do 25 samples. So if they're between 250 to 750 tons per day, they need to do 30 samples for their seasonal waste characterization study, and then 35 and 40 for facilities that process over 1,000 tons per day. Page 23 is it's the waste characterization data that we are asking. It looks very intensive and detailed. The reason we need all this is, again, to capture material tracking. And we're not the only agency that's requiring this. Cal Recycle is requiring similar reporting requirement from the facilities. So this is the trend that facilities will have to meet, not only for us, but also for the state. So the last few pages are the type of the data and that we'll be looking at, that we'll be evaluating, and that's how we're going to be able to calculate diversion rate for our program. So that concludes my presentation. Is there any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Wong. Mr. Myers, you can join Joan there. Just because I have a few things I want to go through. Some maybe proposed amendments, some questions, a couple things to talk about. First of all, by the way, the board report, whoever drafted it did a good job of putting a lot of information in 13 pages. It read like a walk down memory lane at the beginning with everything that has happened with the Recicla program, and the fact that we were here almost a year ago to this day. I think it was the 29th last year, so we're at 366 days away. I remember then we wanted to pass facility certification here at the board. The council sent it back to us. That's fine. Happy to have it. So a few things I want to go over with the two of you. I think because even though Recicla exists and we have our updates for the Recicla program in general, facility certification with today's action is essentially a new part of the Recicla program. And I think that my proposal would be that we start with quarterly updates on FCP, on the facility certification program. It's not my intent at all, Dan and Joan, to add to the workload of your division and your team, but this is important, and it's important to the council and to the mayor and to you all and to us and the community. I just feel like quarterly updates for at least the first year or so until we have all the community issues that have been raised, it provides addressed and satisfied. It provides an avenue for people to come and speak in a public forum if they want to. So that's I guess my amendment number one that I would propose, and we can figure out kind of how we put that in to our recommendations. Secondly, and there's reference in your in the board report, and there's reference in your presentation. And so this is kind of a question leading to a potential amendment. Is I think that public community stakeholder, that's kind of redundant, but public community stakeholder meetings will be beneficial as well. I know there's reference to it. I'm not sure if there's kind of a schedule of what that might entail. You all had the list of community stakeholders. We had a number of them that showed up today. They've been showing up for years. Obviously, they're to be included. Council offices that should be invited. But I kind of leave it up to you all on how often those community meetings need to be held. Just trust that if the community senses that it's not sufficient, we're going to hear about it. And so, you can work with them on coming to an agreement on how often you want to do the community meetings. Maybe it's quarterly because you have quarterly updates coming here, but again, that's something for you all to, I think, to work out. Then, Dan, something we've discussed kind of over the years, a number of these different categories, beautifications referenced, landscaping and things like that, facilities, of course. One of them is the on-site inspections, and we've discussed that off and on. And is there a criteria for who gets selected to join in the outside, in the on-site inspections?
So you'll see reference in your report that that is one of the things that we've heard from the community is, not only do we want to see what you found, but we also want to be able to go out to these sites with you,
Right.
and to look at what you've found. Um, I think we have a very solid approach to getting information out to the community. Information from our inspections will be posted on our website. All community members will have access to our team, have access via email, have access via our website, and access via the phone. So community members will have direct access to us and access to the information we find in the field. So the one piece that we actually still are working on right now is the actually attending with us, going to sites. We obviously we have we'll have 40 facilities that we have to inspect at minimum once a month. And quite frankly, if we have facilities that we feel needs a little extra attention, we'll be out there a lot more than once a month. So that's a lot of inspections for us to conduct. I would say not all of those will be able to coordinate with a community member attending with us. So what we'll do is we'll actually work with the community members. The other piece that we also have to work with are the facilities themselves. This is unprecedented in terms of a facility just allowing a third party to just come under their facility. These facilities are operating facilities. There are health and safety concerns of anybody that comes on the facilities. So one of the first things we have to do is work with our facilities, work through some of the requirements, some of the concerns, and then put together the program of how it is that we work with, allow organizations, and that's really who we want to get to. We want to get to the community organizations that are committed to improving the facility, working through those organizations to identify not only selected individuals but selected facilities, so we can work with them, vet them in terms of making sure that they've signed all the necessary paperwork to get on the facilities and schedule them. So that piece we're still working out.
Okay, to that point, and something we've discussed before, but I'll make it public. Working with these, with the facilities themselves, I understand it's an operating facility. There are safety rules and regs that they have to follow. They're bringing in someone that hasn't necessarily been trained on those same rules and regs, so there may be some restricted areas. But in working with the community organizations and the groups that would like to participate, that information can be worked out. But I do feel like coming up with, for sanitation, for some basic criteria on what you might recommend, and even presenting that at a quarterly report coming up. Some of those folks are going to be willing, I mean, I'm speculating, but some of the facilities will be willing to provide a release to some of the outsiders, for lack of a better term. They're going to, outside inspectors that are going to come on. And some of those outside inspectors are going to be willing to sign that release. Where we have an issue is where there may be some sensitive safety training areas. Some of those folks some of the outside inspectors may even be willing to go through a training class before going on board as well. So because of that, and I realize it's not entirely baked yet, and as you mentioned, Dan, and it was said by Mr. Nodoff earlier, unprecedented. The community appreciates it. We all appreciate what you're doing. I just feel like there's still a little bit of work, admittedly, that I think we agree, that needs to be done in this area. Those are just some recommendations that I would have from the chair.
Very good. And to go back a little bit, I definitely think coming back to this board on a quarterly basis, this is brand new. There's nothing like this that's ever been done, in any city. So providing you the updates, in one of our first updates back to this board, it can actually focus on where we're at with not only the process of getting them all certified, but also the details of how that this new piece of community involvement would play out.
Okay, and then on, I guess what would be my, at least what I've got here is number 4. Well, I have it number 7, but I'm moving it up to number 4 because it was I know it was referenced in the speakers, but the speakers had some good suggestions this morning, so I made some notes. And the issue about the public-facing database and a question about when that might be available. I would ask you all. I think there was a request by one of our speakers, I can't remember her name, that it be presented within maybe 6 months. I think it was either Ms. Gonzalez or Ms. Fuentes, that it be available within 6 months. I was going to say 3 months, but I don't know how much time you guys need.
Well, I do think 6 months would be a good time frame for us to fully vet it. There's a lot of moving pieces right now, not only to the facility certification program, but the entire backbone is we're in the process of launching a new program that supports all of the Recicla program, including the facility certification program. It's not even due to launch until the beginning of the year.
Okay.
In terms of being able to capture information.
Okay. So we'll say 6 months on that?
Yes.
And then there was a request for, I think it was Ms. Fuentes, a request for a specific community plan. I wrote that down.
I can't speak for the speaker. Again, in our board report, we talked about the development of, we talked about the development of this community involvement, and this was specific around the topic we just spoke on, which is allowing the community members to participate in inspections. That is the one piece that is referenced in the plan that still needs to be developed. So I do think we've covered that in terms of...
Well, that's something we can, if there are issues about it, we can deal with it when we come back for a quarterly report.
Yes.
Regarding, let's go back to the on-site inspections for a minute.
Certainly.
Regarding I recognize, and we've discussed this before, the issue about community members and folks that want to come in as part of the on-site inspections. To the extent there's a public entity that, public or private, but an entity that finds themselves involved in the process of safety audits or on-site inspections, I do think that something else that sanitation ought to think about, so I'm kind of going back to the on-site inspection category for a moment. Maybe setting forth, I set some criteria for who comes in. We also ought to, this is kind of the same thing, just said it a little differently. A basic set of standards for who would be allowed to come in if they're a private entity or a public agency.
Oh, I definitely agree. As we allow through our facility certification program access to facilities, you wind up for facilities with just proprietary information and proprietary processes of how they process material. So, just allowing another private entity, a company, to come in and go, hey, I want to come see your facility because I'm allowed to. There does have to be a vetting process of how and why folks are allowed to come in and actually attend inspections with LA San.
Thank you. And then the last thing, there's the state's SHARPS program is basically eliminated from this because of the size of the entities that we're dealing with, correct?
That's correct. It's a process that in the very beginning of our facility certification development that we were looking at. Again, we looked at every single possible avenue to raise the bar for worker safety on each site. But as we worked more closely with Cal OSHA, what we found was the SHARPS program really wasn't applicable to the facilities that we're going to be certifying. And most of them have to do with just the size of the company, the number of employees. SHARPS program is really intended for smaller facilities, with a much smaller number of employees. You get some of the large multinational companies that own some of these facilities, and they've got, hundreds of thousands of employees. They'll fall right off. Cal OSHA just will not start the process.
And that was my understanding too. Thank you for confirming that. I guess my only question is, are you all comfortable that recognizing that they're essentially eliminated from the SHARPS program, our program is going to provide the safety that's necessary?
Absolutely, yes. I mean, we have a process where they're required to submit annually to us an audit from a third party of their health and safety program. Not only that, I mean, I could stand up here and give examples of what just having an inspector on site means. You heard about access to restroom facilities. Our inspector went out to a facility and noticed that the trash was actually pushed up against the door of the restroom facility. So workers at the facility had no access to the restroom because it was blocked by trash. On site, they said that needs to be corrected. They need access to restroom facilities. That was immediately corrected. They've made notes of hazardous material that wasn't properly noted. Now, it's important to note, we are not inspecting as Cal OSHA, but what we are is complementary to Cal OSHA. So if we see something on site, we can make a recommendation to the facility to correct it. If it's not corrected, we can then, as a third party, report it to Cal OSHA that can then follow up and inspect it. So I am confident that our plan for health and safety will have a definite and positive impact.
Great, thank you. That's all the questions I have. We'll go to, although there are a couple things I'm going to want to add when we wrap up the item and vote on the item based on our discussion. Commissioner Davis, then Commissioner Villegas, then Commissioner Garcia. And then Commissioner Colosa.
Well, I won't ask any questions. I think that our president has asked some very detailed questions, but as a former member of the State Assembly Environmental Safety and Toxic Material Committee, we certainly had a concern about these kinds of items across the state. And so I only have some comments now in terms of my observation of your presentation and the work that we are doing on facilities certification program. In the Bureau of Contract Administration, we have a saying that we inspect what we expect. And I think our experience here in the city has told us that this is something that is absolutely necessary based upon what we have experienced heretofore. My observations are that as a result of that, this is a necessary program to increase the performance of our facilities. So there is no question about the mission and the purpose of what you're doing, and it needs to take place. Secondly, I think the recommendation about community meetings is important. I think from a professional perspective, it can be seen as a barrier in some regards in terms of stopping you from expediting your work and what you have to do. But at the same time, I think it will keep us balanced, if you will, in terms of the service we are delivering and how the customer feels about it and what they might share with us about the work that we are delivering in terms of inspections for our facilities. Further, I will say that this program that you have presented today is very comprehensive. In particular, I have paid attention to both the measurement of both incoming materials as well as the measurement of outgoing materials, which is really a hallmark that we are really comprehensively getting our hand around absolutely everything coming in and out and going out. And then finally, I will say that I agree 100% that your reporting regularly to the Board of Public Works is critically important so that we can be a part of the process of increasing service delivery and performance of these facilities moving forward. And so that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Commissioner Villegas.
Good morning. Thank you. I thought that your report was really thorough. Just have a few questions, and I appreciate your getting back to me yesterday. I just had a few questions. I appreciate the map and just the list of, I think, certified recyclable facilities that you currently have. I noticed that they're all over Los Angeles County. Some are located in San Bernardino County, some as far as Victorville or Norco. I was just curious, is there some type of arrangement with those facilities outside of our purview, but they're still going to be doing business with the city of Los Angeles? How we're going to be communicated, or how those facilities are communicating with their constituencies, their impacted constituencies?
So, as far as I think there's a question that, for example, the communities around the facilities outside of our jurisdiction. Well, we are hoping. We haven't reached out to any of the or research any of the organizations around those facilities. But what we do know is that there's a lot of folks looking at this facility certification program and the benefits that it's going to bring. So you won't have to be a citizen, from Los Angeles to call us for an inspection, to view our website, for us to accept your questions, your concerns. They'll all be treated the same. We know we're going to develop relationships as this program grows with the communities around each of these facilities, positive relationships to enhance all of these facilities, which was important that we chose a program that, because a lot of people ask me, well, why don't you just make it a mandatory program for every facility in the city, which had some, had some traction, but what we wanted to be able to do was to get to every single facility that touched recycled material. And the way we did that is by making it a voluntary program that we could enforce outside of our jurisdiction. So that the program specifically designed to bring those into the certification.
And thank you for that. That's good clarification. And just one last question. With our food waste and our green waste rules that we're mandated to do by the state, do you think the voluntary businesses that are currently in place with the city of Los Angeles, do you think we have the capacity with the number of residents that we have, or how would we measure that, or how would we increase it if we needed more businesses or more facilities that need to be able to take on that food waste from us?
Well, specific to food waste, outside of the facility certification program, within the recycler contracts, there is new infrastructure that is actually being constructed right now that will increase the processing capacity for organics. So the answer to your first question is there is a lack of infrastructure. If everybody signed up for organics today, it would be very difficult to process all of that material. We recognize that as we were developing the recycler program. So there's new infrastructure required as part of the program outside of the facility certification.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Commissioner Garcia.
Thank you, President. Dan and Joan, I just want to say I've been seeing you both come up for now a year and something on this same topic. So congratulations to you both, because you guys have really stuck to this and seen it through. And I mean, there's still more work to do, but so far, thank you for the leadership on both of you. You have really dedicated your time on this, so I appreciate that from the both of you and the rest of your team as well. And to the community members that came from far, especially those that came from the valley, I just want to say thank you for caring about our air in our communities out in the valley as well, especially the Sun Valley community. I was here last year when your folks came with demonstrating the effects that this have, and definitely it's something that we considered as we moved along, as you can see. So thank you for those that came out here. We appreciate your time and your effort of being here. With that, I have very minimal questions. One of them is going along with something with Commissioner Villegas talked about. I take it the intention is that we want more facilities to take part of this, right? So we have a list now of the ones that are going to work with us to meet this certification. Are we going to do more outreach to include more facilities into our list, or are we just going to work with these 40 for now?
The answer to your question is we're not going to actually do the outreach. The outreach, bringing facilities into the fold, is really done at this point in time by our Recicla service providers. They're the ones who have to utilize the facilities, the relationships that they have to develop with each of those facilities has to be done through them. So the path to become certified right now is that the Recicla service providers come to us and say, we would like this facility certified. We talk with that facility. They go yes. Now we've established relationships with all the ones that have been identified to date that the Recicla certified Recicla service providers would like to use. We know that's going to grow. It's going to grow. There are facilities that may drop off because the relationship, doesn't work with their service provider. But we know we're going to get more and more on board. We anticipate that facilities are going to be coming to us now and going, well, we want the ability to be able to take recycled material. We want to be certified. And we will start that process with them now to become certified, now that we have hopefully have a program in place very soon.
Good, thank you for that. The reason I was asking is because I guess my underlying question is, with the current facilities that we have right now, are there capacity enough to take all the materials that we have? Because I understand we have a lot, and we produce a lot of recycling and waste per day. Are those facilities enough to take on the work that we have?
I mean, yes.
Okay.
All the material being collected through Recicla right now is all being processed at one of the provisionally certified facilities. So the capacity is there. Where we know capacity has to definitely grow is in the waste stream of organic waste. We know that has to continue to grow to meet the demand as businesses, begin to subscribe and comply with the state regulations for organic recycling.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for all that.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. Commissioner Caloza.
Thank you, President James. I have about 20 questions for you, but the good news is that you all answered them during our briefing already, so I will spare you this morning. But I just really wanted to say thank you for a really thorough briefing, a really thorough board report. And, as everyone mentioned here, this is something that is going to be hopefully a model for how cities operate as it relates to such a large franchise, and how we put all this thought into the different elements as part of the certification, from the community beautification aspect to the safety to the community involvement. It was incredibly positive to hear our community members here give positive feedback, and also know that they're incredibly happy with where this is heading, which is a really great sign that the city is moving in the right direction. I know you two put a lot of time into making today happen, as well as the LA sanitation team. But I just wanted to commend you for your work
and I really look forward to the next quarterly updates and learning about, what this certification will yield. And lastly, just want to thank too the facilities that are taking on a huge cost to being part of this voluntary certification, really for the benefit of the community and for the city. It's we're all going to reap the rewards, and so I thank them for doing this.
Thank you, Commissioner Caloza. What I might do then, since our discussion's closed, is make the motion, but I've got just a couple of the friendly amendments that I referenced a minute ago. Let's see if I've got them organized enough. So this will be adding Mr. Knight and Mr. Jordan to the recommendations that we would be approving already, adding a number 8, which would be the implementation of quarterly meetings to the Board of Public Works regarding the status of the FCP. That would be number 8. Number 9 would be the a statement that that sanitation would continue its involvement in public community stakeholder meetings. And an update on that can be provided during the quarterly meetings. Then, that was 8, 9. Number 10 would be creating, and Dan, you can help me with this language if you want, Joan, as well, creating criteria for, or criteria and a basic set of, or a basic set of standards for those who are selected to participate in the on-site inspections. Let me rewrite it. Criteria for those who are selected for on-site inspections and a set of standards for any private agency that participates in the on-site inspections. Okay? And then, let me just check my inventory sheet here. Oh, the public-facing database would be, how do you want to say, would be ready for rollout 6 months from now?
Well, we'll report back on the status.
There you go. You report back on the status at the second quarterly meeting, which will be 6 months from now.
Yes.
That's those are all the amendments that I have. So that would be my motion. Thank you all for your patience and indulgence, everyone. Seconded by Commissioner Caloza. Any objection? Without objection, that'll be the order on agenda item number 1. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Any issue sending number 1 forthwith as amended? Then we'll send number 1 forthwith as amended. And let me just say to all the stakeholder groups, the RSPs, our representatives from labor, our community representatives, the community stakeholder groups, Mr. Notoff and his group, and to the incredible team at LA Sanitation. And thank you to the City Council, particularly Councilwoman Nuri Martinez's office and the Mayor's office, Rebecca and Liz Cross and Rebecca Andreessen, for the collaboration on this really big deal today that we achieved. So thank you, everyone. Agenda item number 2 in Council District 14, revised funding allocation, safe routes to school infrastructure improvement for the Sheridan Street Elementary School, the Breed Street Elementary School, and the Little Tokyo pedestrian safety projects, recommending that the board authorize the correction of the funding allocation in the report to reflect the correct funding allocation of $235,000 to the Sheridan Street Elementary School, Breed Street Elementary School project, and $100,000 to the Little Tokyo pedestrian safety project. And as Mr. Chen will tell us, we just had some administrative minor errors that resulted in some line items being put in the wrong places. Mr. Chen.
Yes, good afternoon.
And I know you have a card, Mr. Sachs. We'll hear our report, then we'll hear from you. Go ahead, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Steve Chen, Bureau of Engineering, and hopefully my item will be a bit shorter than the last one. Basically, what happened here is this item has gone to the board previously, and the board report was written initially with the correct funding allocation. However, subsequently, there was an inadvertent edit after the report was almost finalized, and it got released with the incorrect funding allocation. So this is just a motion to correct the funding back to the correct projects the way they should be, which is $235,000 to the Sheraton Street and Breed Street Elementary School projects, and then $100,000 to the Little Tokyo Pedestrian Safety Project. And that's the motions for.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Villegas? Oh, okay. That was Commissioner Garcia's motion and seconded by Commissioner Villegas. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 2. Thank you, sir. Any issues sending number 2 forthwith? We'll send number 2 forthwith. But Mr. Sachs on number 2. Yeah, you're allowed to speak if you want. My mistake. All right. I agreed to recall agenda item number 3 for you if you wanted to speak on that. That one was, we took the vote while your cards were still on the table, and I didn't see them yet. Okay. Got it. All right, thank you. Agenda item number 5. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oral report, task order solicitation process update, utilization of subcontractors on task order solicitations, and a status report on task orders from the pre-qualified lists. Mr. Sachs, you do have a card in on number 5.
So yes, thank you. Arnold Sachs for the record. Based on some of the things that you had in your agenda today as far as stop orders and who's actually getting the money, we have a contractor, we have a subcontractor, and we have a subcontractor who hires another contractor without authorization, I guess, from the original, the primary contractor. What exactly would it mean for the task order solicitation process, the utilization of subcontractors, if the subcontractors hire other subcontractors, and a pre-qualified list? You had items on your agenda about pre-qualified lists that go 10 years, which somewhat is disingenuous as far as having an opportunity to allow small businesses and minority businesses and the different businesses that are opening up in the city and the county of Los Angeles and trying to get government work when everything is already pre-qualified, or you're unqualified because you're not on the pre-qualified list, and you're not qualified because you're not on the task order solicitation list. And so how do you get people, and I don't mean this commission, I appreciate the fact that you hear this, how does the city and the city council, I mean, I understand how they work, but how do you get people to kind of get through holes or jump through hoops that have no opening? If they're having no opening, what's the sense of jumping through? What's the sense of trying? You just end up banging your head against a closed door. We need to have a little bit better opportunity to see this process a little bit more in a straight line than these peaks and valleys that cause people to get really frustrated. Jobs are disappearing. Maybe nobody's noticed that, but jobs are really disappearing. And when the city and the county go to business and they eliminate public comment and they just do corporate to corporate essentially, what's the rest of the public going to do? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. Let's start with Heidi Kim, Contract Administration.
Good morning, commissioners and executive staff. My name is Heidi Kim, and I'm with the Office of Wage Standards in the Bureau of Contract Administration. During this reporting period, I am under the impression that we're hearing items number 5 and 6 together.
You're welcome to do them together if you would like.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So during this reporting period, which covers the first quarter of fiscal year 1920, our office held 10 contracts on the pre-qualified on-call list for various wage standards enforcement and city labor standards projects, which are set to expire in 2022. The amount of $5,241.37 was invoiced during this reporting period against TOS OWS 19-001, which provided targeted door-to-door outreach on the city's minimum wage, paid sick leave, and fair chance initiative for hiring topics to employers with businesses in the city. One task order under Policy 793 was awarded to 4 contractors for a total award amount of $72,758.60 from general fund monies. This task order, TOS OWS 20-001, provides targeted outreach on the city's minimum wage, paid sick leave, and fair chance initiative for hiring topics to employees and applicants in the city. BCA did not issue nor award tasks over $150,000 during the reporting period, nor are there any amendments executed or pending. This concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Kim? Nope. Thank you, ma'am. Your oral report will be received. Mr. Ohanian. You're on number 5, I suppose?
Yes, I am.
Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Eddie Ohanian from Bureau of Engineering. I'm here to present to you a quarterly report on status of personal services contracts managed by Bureau of Engineering for the period of July 1st, 2019 to September 30th, 2019, the third quarter of 2019. The quarter started with 105 active contracts. 9 contracts expired during the quarter. No new contracts was added, and the quarter ended with 66 contracts. During the quarter, we have received invoices for all of the projects that are outsourced. And our contracts are monitored by 3 different programs. They're MBE, WBE, Business Outreach Program, and also Disadvantaged Business Outreach Programs. There are 34 contracts under MBE, WBE, and we have received $1.3 million in invoices. From this amount, 1% was invoiced by MBE, and 4% was invoiced by WBE. And Business Inclusion Program, which has 58 contracts, had invoices of $7.4 million approximately, and from this amount, 13% was awarded to or invoiced by MBE, 11% was WBE, 22% SBE, and 15% EBE, and 2% to DVBE, Disabled Veteran Business Enterprises. And for Disadvantaged Business Outreach Program, which we have 13 contracts, we received invoices for a total amount of $2,053,238. And from this amount, 17% was invoiced for DBE, again, Disadvantaged Business Enterprise. There are a total of 8 categories that I just mentioned about their participation levels and invoices, 8 of which has met and exceeded our department goal during this quarter, and 4 of the 8 did not. They were under the amounts that we're monitoring for this program. Again, this is for the 3 months of the life of the projects and the contracts that we have out there. Now, summary of the new tasks issued in third quarter. We have 9 new tasks issued toward our active contracts. 3 tasks were over $150,000 were approved by the board for a total amount of $1,754,554. 6 tasks were under $150,000 for a total amount of $176,805. These tasks were approved by the city engineer because they were under $150,000 under policy number 793. There were contracts expired during the third quarter. There are a total of 9 contracts expired. One of the 9 contracts is for for animal bond programs. And since there's still more work remaining to be completed as part of this task, we're going to extend the time of the contract, And to date, the board has approved the extension, and it is pending mayor and council approval. Another 8 contracts expired for architectural and related professional services. However, this contract was already extended for another 5 years during the month of October. Contracts expiring next quarter, which is October, November, and December of this year, there will be 20 contracts that will be expiring in those 3 months. One of the 20 contracts is for design services of 6th Street Viaduct replacement project. The board approved the time extension and increase in contract ceiling amount. However, we are pending mayor and council approval on this. Another 9 contracts are expiring for architecture and related professional services again, and these 9 contracts have been extended for 5 years in October. And 10 more expiring contracts are for bridge improvements programs, civil engineering support services. The Bureau of Engineering will archive these contracts as they expire, and there is a new list of contractors are being established, and hopefully they will be established by end of the year. Now, task order solicitation update. LA Bavin, Los Angeles Business Assistance Virtual Network, continues to work successfully, and we received no complaints during the quarter. Now, the final segment of the report is negative deviations. During the quarter, out of 105 contracts for which this report was prepared, we have 39 contracts that had negative deviations. That means for the categories that are being monitored, there was some negative deviations when it's calculated compared to pledges of the consultants, not necessarily department goals. In my conversation with our contract managers, which we do on a quarterly basis, we meet with all contract managers and project managers, and we have determined that all of our negative deviations that we currently have, they have sufficient time and money remaining for the life of those projects for them to comply. Now, I have to mention that we have 105 contracts, I said it earlier, but 39 have negative deviations. That means 66 of the other contracts, with all of their categories, they met and exceeded their pledges and department goals. Since I'm doing this on a quarterly basis, and it appears that we have, with those negative deviations, perhaps not a successful program, I'd like to give you an overview of all of our programs. I'm sure you're going to have questions about that, but a quick overview of all of our projects on those 3 programs. MBEW BE program of 2001, we have 34 contracts that are all active to this date until September 30th. We had 173 tasks with a total budget of $114 million. We have invoiced $83 million of that budget. That means this program is well advanced and progressed, which is 73% of it is invoiced. Sorry. Out of this $83 million, 13% was invoiced by MBE, which is higher than department goal of 12%. 8% was invoiced by WBE, which is again significantly higher than 2% of department goals. For BIP program of 2011, we have 58 contracts, which also contains 153 tasks. A total budget of those 153 tasks is $133 million, for which we have received $47 million in invoices. Again, this is 35% invoice, slightly over 1/3 of its budgeted amount. And 18% was invoiced by MBE, which is our department goal is 18% for this category. 12% was invoiced for WBE, which is much higher than department goals for 4%. And 29% was invoiced by SBE, which is against higher than department goal of 25%. Now for emerging businesses enterprise, EBE, we had 20% invoiced. Again, department goal is 8%. However, for disadvantaged business enterprise, we are slightly short. For this program, we had 2% invoiced. However, department goal is 3%. For disadvantaged business outreach program, we have 13 contracts, 47 tasks. We have a total budget of $94 million for this program, and we have received $75 million invoices. That means this program is well advanced and 80% complete. For this program, we have 23% invoiced by disadvantaged business enterprises, which is much higher than 6% department goal. So I hope this overview gives you the confidence that our program is well working, and we're working very hard with our consultants and with our division managers and program managers to make sure that our program stays solid and strong.
Thank you, Mr. Ohanian, and thank you for the summary of those numbers. Happy to get it. Any other questions for Mr. Ohanian? All right, thank you, sir. Let's go to, do I have any, sanitation? What? Right? No, I was looking for who I had. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I found that. Thanks. Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Actually, good afternoon. Yes, here we are. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tu Van Ho. I'm with the LA Sanitation. Today, I'm provide updates for sanitation 24 on-call contract for the solid resource wastewater and stormwater programs. As of October 22nd, LA Sanitation have awarded 98 task order for a total contract amount of $148 million to 21 prime consultants on the list. That includes 37 task order less than or equal $150,000 and 61 task order over $150,000. And the invoice up to date, we have received, we have paid the invoice about $100.5 million. In regards to the subconsultant utilization, the subconsultant participation credit pledge for MBE is 26%, 9% for WBE, 26% for SBE, 16% for EBE, 1% for DVBE, and 22% for OBE. The written report for today's updates was included in the quarterly report. Thus, Ms. Nancy Latin from Sanitation, she sent it to you last week on October 23rd. So I am ready for your question.
Thank you. Any questions at all? Okay, next.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Have a nice week.
Good afternoon. I don't come to these board meetings very often, but I hope that these meetings don't last as long as they do today, as it did today.
No,
So
today's a remarkable.
Good afternoon.
A remarkable exception. It doesn't. It happens about once a month that we get past noon. Go ahead.
Okay.
Maybe
And
twice
also,
a month.
I originally wanted to mention that because I smelled delicious Filipino food coming through the window, I was going to do my best to make this concise and brief, but 2.5 hours later, I don't smell anything. So it must be all eaten up already. My name is Rodney Bernaldo, Management Analyst for the Information and Control Systems Division representing LA Sanitation. Thank you, Commissioners, for your time of allowing me to give you an oral presentation on the second on-call contract of Los Angeles Sanitation. I forgot an opening line, which I'd like to include now. It just occurred to me, I'm sorry. As a fellow Filipino American, I would like to say, Kumusta ang lahat? ng commissioners. Kumusta ngang lahat is hello to all. In Tagalog, translated, commissioners is the English word for commissioners, because I don't know what the Filipino word for that is, and that's the American part of me. So going back to this oral report, this is the second on-call contract for Los Angeles Sanitation. There are 9 vendors in this ICSD on-call contract for sanitation automation and technology projects. Let me know if it's necessary for me to identify those 9 vendors.
You're good.
Okay. Continuing. The following is the information regarding the task order solicitations, which is the most important part of, or which is part of this summary. There are a total number of 16 task orders that have been issued. Of that number, a total task orders awarded is 10. So far, the total contract amount awarded is $13.5 million. This is a $22 million cost ceiling contract. Of that $13 million, a total task order of expenditures, $8.4 million has been expended. Now, more importantly, in response to a task order solicitations, proposals must include subcontractor utilization as outlined in the on-call contract, with set anticipated participation levels as follows: 10% MBE, Minority Business Enterprise; 2% WBE, Women Business Enterprise; 1% SBE, Small Business Enterprise; EBE, which is Emerging Business Enterprise. There's also a 1% participation pledge. Proposers are reminded that proposals must include a Schedule A, which will include the information regarding what I call MEBI, OBI, subcontractor information form, with their proposal as outlined in the contract. Now to some of those numbers. For minority business enterprises, a pledged amount of 24%. Of that 24%, 22.4% has been achieved. With regards to women business enterprise, 8.2% had been pledged, and we have surpassed that with 16% achieved. Small business enterprise, which I previously forgot, is only 0.4% pledged. And of that, we have again surpassed it with 1.7% achievement. Now, the emerging business enterprise, there was a pledged amount of 0.1%. We have now achieved 0.3%, again, in excess of what was originally pledged. And I don't know if I can address Mr. Sachs, I think that's his name, his comments? No? Okay.
Not under the Brown Act.
Okay, because I just had some clarification to some of his questions. Okay, thank you. Are there any questions then that you may have for me?
No, are we right, Mr. Jordan?
Well, if Mr. Sachs made a comment about this item is agendized. There's no reason why staff couldn't
I always
address
thought
that.
maybe it's us that we can't address the...
If it's, well, just in general now, if a member of the public makes a comment about an item that we are agendized to discuss, we can have staff address the comments. And
Go ahead.
What you may be thinking, because I want to avoid confusion, if a member of the
I'm
public...
completely confused, so go ahead.
If a member of the public makes a comment during general public comment about an item that is not before you on the agenda, no discussion of that non-agendized item can be had.
So I misspoke because of my complete confusion. So go ahead.
And I'm sure you have a lot on your mind. I agree with him. It makes more sense to me that if they're already talking about it as part of the agenda, we should be able to address it. Again, if they bring up something that's not, we may not be prepared and we shouldn't address it. From what I understood, Mr. Sachs was concerned about subcontractors of subcontractors. As I understand it, our on-call contracts are with prime contractors. It is those prime contractors that we deal with. They are the ones that have to deal with the subcontractors. Now, if those subcontractors decide to employ more subcontractors, then that falls on the responsibility of the original subcontractor, which then falls on the responsibility of the prime contractor. That's my understanding of that. The other thing that I think he mentioned was businesses not having the opportunity to apply for these contracts. I'd just like to inform him that the city has done great things to have a more inclusion with this system of LA Bavin, Los Angeles Business Assistance Virtual Network, correct. And it's through this LA Bavin that we advertise contracts that are opening. In fact, this on-call contract is due to expire April 8, 2021, and we are currently working on an amendment to extend this contract. Again, we will post that in LA Bavin, and any vendor that's interested are more than welcome to apply for it. So in that regard, I think LA City is doing the best that they can with regards to involving as many local industries as possible. And I hope that answers his question.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions? All right, thank you, sir. Your oral report will be received. We have one more from sanitation. Nancy, hi.
Good afternoon, commissioners, executive staff, city attorney, and assistant executive officer. My name is Nancy Lanton. I'm from LA Sanitation and Environment. I am here to present the quarterly report summary for the quarter ending September 30th, 2019 for sanitation's personal services contracts. For the amount billed since last quarter, that is $36.9 million. Total contracts with subcontractor participation from the old program, the MBE-WBE outreach program, is 15.6. As part of the new business inclusion program, the total is 21.3 million. Subcontractor participation for these contracts is a total for our old program, it's 1.2 million. 0% of that is our MBE program, 7.3% of that is from the WBE program, and 0.8% is the OBE program. In regards to the new business inclusion program, the total for those contracts is 5.9 million. 12% of that is MBE, 2.4% is WBE, 7.5 is SBE, 3.2 EBE, 0.3 is DVBE, and 9.3 is OBE. The status of our contracts expiring within the next 9 months in our solid waste program. We have 2 contracts, we actually have 3 contracts expiring. 2 of them will be renewed. The first one is for responsible biosolids management. That's for our loading, transporting, beneficial use of our city biosolids to our Green Acres farm. That LA San will be exercising a 3-year renewal option on that contract. We are currently reviewing that board report, and it will be up for the board review soon. The next contract that will be renewed is for Pac West American Scale. That is for scale calibration, repairs, and maintenance services. LA San will be exercising a 5-year renewal option in this contract. That board report is also currently under review and will be presented to the board shortly. The last contract that will not be renewed is the West Coast Rendering contract. That's for the dead animal processing and recovery services. We are currently executing a letter of agreement on that contract to extend those services for another 6 months while sanitation develops another plan for those disposal of those animals. As far as our stormwater program, we have 1 contract that will be expiring within the next 9 months. That contract is with S. Gruner and Associates. That's our contract for a stormwater public education program. Sanitation will exercise a 5-year renewal option in that contract. That board report is also being reviewed by our Bureau of Contract Administration. For our last program, our wastewater program, we have 4 contracts that will be expiring. 2 of them will be renewed. The first one is with Hawk Company. That's for our wastewater collection system flow gauging data. Sanitation will exercise a 5-year renewal option in this contract, and we are currently reviewing that board report, and it will be presented to the board shortly as well. The second contract that will be renewed is our gatekeeper systems contract. That's for our software maintenance, support services of our field automation sanitation trucks. We are also exercising a 3-year renewal option in that contract. 2 contracts that will not be renewed in our wastewater program is with ABB Inc. That one is for our control systems support. That contract is no longer needed because of our new wastewater control systems replacement project. And the second contract we're not renewing is with Pacific Sewer Maintenance Corp. And Route Tamers. We just recently executed new contracts for that service with a new selected proposer. And finally, for our subcontractor deviation concerns, we do have 17 contracts that have subcontractor deviation concerns. A majority of these contracts are with the on-call task orders awarded under our wastewater on-call contracts. Primarily, the main reasons for these deviations include sanitation revising the scope of services, and therefore some of those subcontractor goals will not be met. The subcontractors were also utilized during later phases of the project, so we haven't entered those invoices in the system yet. Sanitation staff also performed a portion of some of the work, so some of the achieved amounts were not achieved. And sometimes the contractor overestimates the services that they require of the subcontractor. So those are the main reasons why we have those deviation concerns. That concludes my report. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Thank you for the updates on those. Any questions on any of that? Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your patience. That concludes agenda item number 5. We only have one report on agenda item number 6 from Streets LA. Ms. Shelton, thank you for your patience. You get the gold star today because you're the last presenter before we have public comment. Go ahead.
Okay, good afternoon. I'm here today to present on our personal service contracts quarterly report for the Streets LA. We have a total of 6 contracts, personal service contracts, and we have one of which is an OBE, which is our other business enterprise, and that is with Clean Harbor Environment. And to date, let me see, for this reporting period, we have invoiced them $70,089. 9% of that went to the OBE at $6,300. On our Far East Landscape, this particular contract does not expire until next year. However, the first year option does expire on 10/31. We are exercising our second year option, which will be heard on Friday between.
We'll be here.
Okay, so we'll be here as well. And that's it. I don't have anything else to report. Do you have any questions?
Thank you. Any questions from Ms. Shelton? The oral report will be received. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, we have. Mr. Knight, have we cleared the desk other than general public comments?
Yes, that is correct, President.
Mr. Sachs.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon. Arnold Sachs for the record. So I'm going to use some of this time to make a couple of public announcements. I didn't announce last week that the Census 2020 is looking to hire some people. You can contact them with check online. I have some real concerns with all the fires that are going on right now. I do believe that last year, when every fire season, unfortunately, people lose their houses. Now we're hearing people, the utilities are shutting off the power lines when there's high winds. And there's a problem there, because the story that I remember reading is that the fire departments, when they get to some of these locations that are outlying, they can't use the hydrants because the utilities have shut off the power, or the power lines have fallen down. There's no water pumped to the hydrants. So if the utilities act first and shut off the utilities, the utility come and shut off the utilities, then when the fire departments need to hook up to those hydrants, is there water available? Somebody should check on that. There was an item in today's city council about the Southern California Housing Rights Center getting $3 million. And I laugh at that and I say, you know, $3 million, that's a drop in the drop program a drop in the bucket for the drop program that the city established for retiring police. But it's emergency relief for renters. But it's not really emergency relief for renters. The actual money is going to the Southern California Housing Rights Center. They get to decide who gets the money. I think it would be better served. There was an item on the state's legislature regarding setting up funding for bringing back the redevelopment zones under a new name. And they should use that money instead of using it for building new houses as an affordable rental bank so that people who are facing eviction will have some money available so that they could help to fight so they can stay in their houses. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. No more general public comments, so that's closed. We are adjourned. Everyone have a nice Wednesday. See you Friday.